Good day. You can see this is Stoichiometry Survival Kit. Essentially, it's a summary of what we've done. And we really haven't finished this section because we have to give you tons of worksheets and you have to do an interesting lab before we finish it. But you will not get a detailed summary. This is it right now, but no summary at the end of the section. The first section of Stoic, we said, hey, it's a 5-step process. Basic Stoic, you always start with a balanced chemical equation. Now, you love questions that start with moles, but most won't. Most will start with mass or volume and concentration. So you're writing down that information in the appropriate spot under your balanced chemical equation. Don't forget your sidings. Number 3 says we have to take whatever we have, whether it's mass or concentration and volume, and get it to moles. Step 4 is the only time we use the coefficients. And that's when we're using a mole ratio to go from one material to another. Once we have the moles of the desired product or reactant, we convert that to the desired units, and we're done. Limiting excess is very similar. Again, starts with a balanced chemical equation. You write down the information in the appropriate spots. There are some giveaways that it's a limiting excess question. One is if it says calculate the limiting or calculate the excess. Well, duh, it's got to be that. Another clue is if it gives you all the information about the reactants. Then you know for sure it's limiting excess. But once you have that, then you get into moles. So step 1, 2, and 3 are basically the same. Step 4 is the toughest step. By inspection, you're going to look at the balanced chemical equation, its mole ratio, and compare it to the actual moles of each reactant that you have. And you're going to, from that, try to determine which is the limiting reactant and which is the excess reactant. If you make a mistake, you will find out in the next step. So it just means you'll have to do a little bit of erasing. So once you've determined the number of limiting moles and excess, then we want to know how many moles are reacted of both, how much is left over, that's the old subtraction part. And then if you're asked for the product, any of the products, you use your limiting moles reacted and use the mole ratio to get to the products and then convert to desired units. The last 3 things we have to deal with are the 3 types of yields. Actual yield means what's been experimentally recovered. You will have done a lab where you're trying to scrape copper off an iron nail, and you will see it's hard to get all the copper. So the actual yield typically is going to be less than the theoretical yield. Theoretical yield is saying in a perfect world, how much product would we make if everything went well and we could recover it all? And that is always calculated from the limiting, the moles of limiting reactant using stoichiometry. Percent yield compares these 2 things. It says, hey, let's take our actual yield, divide it by a theoretical yield, and we should get a number between 0 and 100. So that's it for this section. Friendly reminder, start with balanced chemical equation. There's the words you have to know. The Stoic test is a calculation test. That's what you're going to be doing. Calculation, calculation, calculation. It will be busy, 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 busy. Here are a few extra points that you should read. And that's it. This survival kit is your summary. It's come out early. Use it to your advantage. Dominate the next test.